it's funny that we're going this straight away, but somebody I've spent a lot of time working with and is in much of our thoughts at the moment is Andy Gray, right?
Aye.
And anytime you think of shite clothes,
Aye.
I've got to give it to my dear departed chum. He honestly turned up with some absolute howlers over the years, and Alan Stewart and I, we still talk about some of these purchases, and we've all done it, right? We've all gone online, bottle of wine down or something like that, and went, those black and orange trainers look the very bad. And of course, he did this pre going online. He would actually go into a shop and see these, and famously he bought these black and orange trainers that were like Velcro strapped, and they were just hideous. And he turned up to the theatre one day, we were doing Panto, and went, "Well, boys, what do you think of anything else?" And oh my God, he got an absolute ribbon for it, and he never wore them again. But he should have, because we ripped the absolute pish. And within the last year, one of his last purchases, because we zoomed every Thursday night over lockdown, and I admitted, I think it's there actually. I admitted I'd gone online and bought here, right? One of these over-the-shoulder holster bags, right? And it's like, I remember looking online going, just put it on like that, and you can put your phone away like a gun. You put the headphones in there and you'll look dead cool now. And of course, it arrives and you're sober and you're like, oh, what the fuck have I bought? And, so we did that, and then Andy went, oh, hang on a wee minute, and he goes through, and he comes through with this, I think it was like an acrylic blue and white Cherokee jacket. It was like an Indian, like the sort of Indians would wear them. And it's like this blue and white thing with, it was just, it was, I mean, honestly, you couldn't smoke a cigarette when he was out the back just in case it all went up. It was, it was special. It was
brilliant, man.
So yeah,
I remember some of his gear when he came down to River City. Sometimes I would, but I would never be brave enough to say anything to him.
And other times he could be, when he was getting dressed up and suited and booted and ready to go out, he'd look $1 million. But every again, he would just make one of these wee random purchases that would make you go, "What the fuck is that?" I would give that to Alan Stewart, because he's such a professional. Everything's got to be just so. The first time I ever heard anybody complain about foldback in a theatre in any way, shape or form was through Alan Stewart. It was genuinely the first time I ever did Panto in 1993 at the King's Theatre in Glasgow, and we were doing the tech, and all I could hear is, "Can we get more foldback, please? I need more foldback on stage." I'm going, "What's this foldback stuff that he keeps asking for? Whatever it is, I want some of it." And it took me years and years, and he's going, "Well, it's like when you hear yourself on stage, so you don't have to burst your voice." So then I'd start going, "Yeah, can I have a bit more foldback?"
That's brilliant.
But it's only because he's such a perfectionist and such a professional. He says, "But I want it to be right." So he says, "I'm going to ask for it, and I'm going to moan until I get it." So the moaniest would be Alan Stewart.
Right.
Gerard Kelly. Kelly, because, and I'll tell you for why, right? You may not be the obvious one to think, either Gerard Kelly or Sandy Morton, but I would go for Gerard Kelly, and I'll tell you for why. Kelly is obviously known, revered and loved up here for all his roles in Panto and on the comedy and everything he's done. But I tell you what, if you can remember Gerard Kelly when he was the psycho in Brookside.
Oh, he was absolutely terrifying in Brookside. He was excellent.
What was brilliant about it, because he was obviously known up here as the Dafty and Willie Melvin and all the theatre stuff they'd done up here, but down in England not so much. And then I remember him getting on Brookside, and he was chilling, absolutely.
He was. I mean, you look at Gerard Kelly, to Brookside, to then extras.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like it's
EastEnders. He was a.
He was a baddie in EastEnders or not?
He was a gangster in EastEnders as well.
The leather coat and all that.
Yeah, that's it. He was brilliant at playing the psycho. But then when what he ended up doing with George Michael and extras and Bunny. Custard, brilliant.
Oh, love it. Smarties.
Do not come in. I repeat, do not come in.
Good watch. The best.
hand on heart, I cannot say any of the guys that I've worked with, and girls, haven't stood their thing at the bar. It's because I think it's because
Jordan Young. Say Jordan
always
Young.
got to get a train home.
Aye, Jordan Young. the tight, miserable fifer, Jordan Young.
Oh, did he tell you about the time he met me and Andy in town, Jordan? Oh, so next time you get him on, if you get him on the Football Daft podcast, ask him about the day that he came through to Edinburgh for a couple of drinks with me and the sort of nick that he was in when he got that train back.
I can imagine.
I don't want to besmirch Jordan Young's fine, outstanding reputation, but let's just say he was in an awful mess, and so was the train carriage.
Excellent. And did he get around in that day?
He did get around in, although we were 2 or 3 ahead of him at the time, so he was just playing catch up. But no, it's because we, when we work together in Panto and we all go straight to the pub afterwards, it does become a thing. But in saying that again, my pal Andy was always the first over there,
Prosecco,
and he would do that whether or not you were in the round or if you just. If you're just sitting there, he would stick a ball in front of you. But
definitely.
Man, I wish.
Glad to say that.
I wish that the people that I done Panto were all took him out for a pint, man.
We'll get to that in the interview, right?
The pavilion doesn't he strike me as let's just say disciplined, professional. Let's just finish we'll do a vocal warm down now that we've finished the song sheet. Let's just go home to ready for another 2 fabulous shows tomorrow.
There's only so many times you can go to Walkabout for a pint, isn't there?
Aye.
I would say, we've had Gillian Parkhouse, who's worked with us at the Panto at the Kings for the last sort of 3 years. She came with us in Cinderella, came back for Beauty and the Beast, and she was with us again for Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And she loves a wind-up. She loves a carry-on, and she films them all now. You get them on the phone and frights. Jordan loves to give a fright as well.
Tell me about it.
However, I would like to take the crown of providing the best backstage wind-up ever. This was pre-social media, this was pre-mobile phone cameras, and I was just sort of breaking through. I just kind of arrived, and it was the first Panto that I ever did with Alan and Andy. It was 2000, right? So the bill at the Kings that year was Dick Whittington, and it was Alan Stewart, Andy Gray, and Dorothy Paul. And they were the sort of headline stars.
Great lineup,
brilliant lineup, and me and Charlie Caroli were the captain and his mate, things like that. And so I was like, really far down the bill. My part was sort of tiny, inconsequential, but anyway, having a great laugh backstage. Anyway, you know what happens when the reviews start coming out, and they get pinned on the notice board at the stage door, so you can start reading them, whatever. Anyway, this review appears on the notice board, and it's got my photograph in costume, and the headline is "Witty Dick." And it's from the list, and it's got 4 stars, and it basically goes on to say there are many different reasons why the King's Theatre in Edinburgh is so successful, but the pivotal one this year has to be bringing back Grant Stott into the fold. His role as captain is nothing short of an ingenious bit of casting. His gag here was brilliant, his time to perfection, and it's this wonderful, wonderful review for me, right? I'm in my dressing room. Andy Gray comes up to the dressing room and goes, "Have you seen that review?" I'm like, "I know, it's a wee bit embarrassing." Embarrassing? He says, "Mate," he says, "I'm delighted for you." He says, that is brilliant. And he walks away. Alan Stewart comes up and goes, "What about that review?" I'm like, "Oh, I know. Dorothy Paul, nothing." So to cut a long story short, I'm in the green room that we had in the time about a week and a half later, and I'd been writing a diary in the evening news through here about the backstage stuff that was going on the Panto. And the way it used to work was we would have a wee interval, and on the day that the paper came out, Andy would read it, right, and read the column and take the piss out of my writing and take the piss out of the things that I was highlighting that week. And he goes, so he gets the paper this day in front of the company, and he's going, he says, "No doubt Mr. Stott will be telling us all about his review in the list." So let's get to this. So he starts telling us, he goes, well, another week in Panto. And he's talking about his review. So I'm reading about, you know, when the reviews come out, you try not to pay too much attention to them, but unbelievably, there was a phenomenal review for me. And he's reading this thing going, I can't believe you're reading your own review out in your own column. How egotistical can you possibly? And he's absolutely annihilating me. And he reads it. And then my closing paragraph was, this review was so good, I could almost have written it myself. And Andy reads this out. He says, this review is so good, I could almost have written it myself. In fact, I actually did.
He did.
My mate worked at the list. I wrote the review. I sent it to him. He got the guy, genius. Steve Kramer, who worked at the list. He typesetted it all up, made it look like a page from the magazine, photocopied it, and I stuck it on the. And I just
that is amazing. Genius.
I let it run, and it was one of my proudest facts.
That is amazing. See, we couldn't get away with that in the pavilion because
you wouldn't have allowed the paper.
The reviewers aren't allowed in the theatre.
I have been very fortunate. I've worked with right from the start. Worked with Alan Stewart. It was my first Panto. Chris Biggins was in my first Panto. Then worked with Cannon and Ball for 2 years. Did Edinburgh. Then did Glasgow 3 years. Jimmy Logan came on board with Cannon and Ball. Then worked with Gerard Kelly, Elaine C. Smith, Barbara Rafferty, Eileen McCallum, Paul Young. I've worked with some fantastic names over the years. But there's, you know, I'd have to say Alan and Andy for me have been brilliant because they were two established performers in their own right, and they kind of, you know, because of our friendship, that's benefited me because I've then risen through the ranks, if you like, of Panto, and I've learned, and then I got to be the villain and blah blah blah. So working with the two of them has been the highlight, and obviously we're still very much thinking of Andy. And we
mate.
Broke off and did the Fringe together, and that was all down to him because he went, "I'll do a play with you."
I love that. When Grant met Andy, what a listen that is! It's great.
It's and who
everybody's raving about that, man.
Well, I mean, when we did that, you know, we did that in the festival 2019, and he was just kind of coming back. So he was about to come back and do Panto with us, and you know, we knew it was a poignant and it was a special. It was an emotional show. Never in a million years did I think just how special it was actually going to become. And then when we played it again after he died, I was quite nervous about listening to it again. I didn't know what it was going to be like, but you know what, it was just so lovely, and it was just to hear us talk like that, because as much as it was a radio show and we did it on a stage in front of an audience, it was very natural. It was very just us. That was
definitely
our chat.
Beautiful, mate. Brilliant, excellent.